So I just recorded a video about you got your CDL and now what, but I want to make another one because I feel like there's a lot more information that I could mention, particularly about pay, because a lot of us are getting into truck driving because we want some money, and that's a good reason to get into it, but it's the wrong reason to get into it. But at the end of the day, what pays your bills is the same thing that pays my bills, and that is money. Now, most trucking carriers, trucking companies, when you start off, mega carriers, they'll usually fly you out, get you a rental car, get you on a bus or whatever, and they usually pay anywhere between $600 a week for orientation, sometimes as much as $750 to $800 a week for orientation. Now, that's nice, and but that's like, you're gonna end up seeing, depending on what state you're from and what your taxes is like, you're gonna end up seeing like $450 to $500 a week from that. And don't be disheartened from that, but at the end of the day, when you get out of training, if you're at the right place, you should not ever see another check under $1,000 once you get out after taxes. You just gotta have a little bit of faith, a little bit of confidence when you get there, because that's what my trainer told me at Tyson Foods. He said, you'll never see a check under $1,000. Occasionally you will, because I wasn't running that hard, or I went home in the middle of the week. But generally speaking, if you're out there working 6 days a week, delivering 400 to 500 miles a day, you're not ever gonna see a small check. And that's all depending on what company you go with. Again, because you have to keep in mind, if you're going with flatbed, well, now we're getting off topic here, but if you're going with flatbed, usually you're going to get a little bit less miles with that. You have to think about the time that it takes to unload, load, and tarp, and all of those things. And also, now that I'm an owner operator, I understand that when you get a load that is 200 to 300 miles, or even 100 to 300 miles, it always pays more, because it's not as many miles as 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 miles. So for a company to book you on a load that's going 200 miles, they might be making $4, $5, $6 a mile on that particular load. And what are they paying you? 40, 50, 60, 70 cents. Don't be disheartened by that, especially if you're learning. But just to give you an idea, is if you get a job and they're like, man, they're only putting me on 200, 300, 400 mile loads, it's driving me crazy. I got my CDL to drive on. There's a reason behind it. You're green, you're new, you're learning. So, but regardless, when you're in training with your trainer, you're going to be getting that same $600 to $800 a week in your orientation pay. And then when you get out of that, that's when your mileage pay will come on. And later on, you can find out if you can get percentage pay. Sometimes companies do, especially like owner operators that might want to hire another person to drive their truck. Sometimes they'll give them a percentage of the rate. So if the load paid 1,000 and it's going 300 miles, right, and it's paying 1,000, technically that owner operator should give you $300 to drive 300 miles. Well, shit, that's $1 a mile. That's way better. So you're doing good there. But then again, if he gets you a load that's going 1,000 miles and it pays $2,000 or $3,000, that percentage, your rate per mile will drop. So, all of these things are possible once you end up getting your experience, once you get through orientation. Like most, and you can watch some of my other videos, I'm gonna try tinkering with putting the video up here. Probably not gonna do it, but we'll find out. Most times you're gonna make between $60,000 and $80,000 your first year, and as you go into the next year, it's probably going to go up in increments of $5,000 to $10,000, and usually cap out there at about $100,000 to $110,000. And you can get lucky and get on with some places that you might make some more or less. Like Walmart's the upper echelon of trucking, so if you can get on with them, usually got good benefits, consistent work, and all that stuff. But I just want to give a little bit of expectations on pay when you do sign up with these mega carriers. And always be calm, professional. Don't act like you know it all. We all have an ego in some way, but just try to absorb as much as you can, because your real experience is going to come when you're on your own, you're dispatched on that load, and you just don't know what to do. And you're going to have to figure it out. And when you're trying to back, and you're looking at this backing situation, you're like, I just can't do it. I've tried 15 times. What does it mean that it's out of air? I don't understand. It's out of air. What does that mean? How can I? And you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be pissed. But all of those frustrations that you have in your first year or 3 months on your own, it gets easier every single time you do it. And it'll reach a point where you're like, damn, this was so hard. I had the hardest job in the world 3 months ago, and now it's easy. And that's the good, beautiful thing about trucking, is that, yes, it's repetitive. It can be difficult, but the more experience you have, the better you get. Thank you.